Some unfortunate news this week, and a weird place to start the show, but it seemed like these seem like kind of the biggest stories, so we figured we'd just open with them. Michelle Trachtenberg passed away, which is really a bummer, dude. 39 years old, Harriet the Spy. She was on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Black Christmas, which Andy watched. Weird, man. She's kind of one of us. She's like our age. And it doesn't seem like anything tragic. It seemed like it was due to complications of a liver transplant, which like just sucks. Just sucks, man.
Yeah, it was one of those people that had a very good career from like child star to like teenage heartthrob, and like you said, things like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Road Trip, Black Christmas that we're going to talk about later. Yeah, she was on Pete and Pete of the Nickelodeon show, Harriet the Spy as well. It's like a 9. I mean, she was working from a really, really young age. And we heard this tragic news yesterday. Last week.
Yeah, favorite performance for me probably. I hate to say it's Euro Trip, dude, but I was way too young when I saw Euro Trip, but that movie had a profound effect on me in the worst sort of ways, and I always remember it. And then Harriet the Spy, like the orange VHS tape, we had one of those, dude. Yeah, can't forget it. How about you, Andy? Favorite Trachtenberg performance?
I think she's just someone that I always, because she transitioned to being more of a TV star. And those kind of young, kind of college, like I said, something like Buffy and Gossip Girl. So I think I always saw her more as that. I didn't really ever watch those shows, but it was just someone that was a star for a long time, long career, and like I didn't realize she was that young, but she started working very young, so it was very sad.
Same. And it was a twofer last week. We also lost Gene Hackman at 95 years old. The Oscar-winning star of The French Connection passed away under some strenuous circumstances, which we've been talking about offline. I don't know how much you want to talk about the specifics of this anyway, but legend, acting legend. Good God, like hugely, profoundly a bummer that this guy's gone.
Yeah, 2-time Oscar winner for lead performances as Popeye Doyle in The French Connection, and Little Bill Daggett in Unforgiven, which is I think my favorite role of his. And he also he could do fun stuff too, like he was Lex Luthor in the original Superman movie. Could do a little bit of comedy. He retired from acting maybe 20 years ago, and this was really sad, and we don't really know what happened. And I'm gonna get into this a little bit, but his body and his wife's body were discovered, and they figured it was maybe like a carbon monoxide thing or a gas leak, but now they're saying that they'd actually been dead for over a week, and they don't really know what is happening. So the investigation is ongoing, and we don't really know, but a legend is gone, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Favorite performance is probably Royal Tenenbaum from Wes Anderson's Royal Tenenbaums 2001. It's great because Hackman is infamously said like he had no idea what was going on with the role and was just kind of like phoning it in. And it was like, I didn't really understand the vision. And then when you watch the movie, he is like arguably the best of the Tenenbaums. Like he seems like he gets it the most, even though he like admits off screen that he had no idea what he was doing. And also as Harry Call in The Conversation, Francis Ford Coppola film. I watched that in college. I did not understand it. I still kind of don't, but I need to revisit it because I remember it was one of those early movies that really got my wheels turning about what the medium could be. And Hackman is this paranoid surveillance expert who gets rolled up in this murder case. I don't know. He's real good. How about you? Favorite Hackman performance?
Like the ones that jump to me, like I said, are Unforgiven. Also, he's great in the Quick and the Dead, and it's so interesting because he's such a domineering figure in Unforgiven. He's kind of the corrupt sheriff of this town, but he's not like a big strong guy or anything like that. But he's just fearless and just like it's a kind of a gun. It's a gunslinger thing, and it's a subversion of the Western genre. And he's so nasty, but just by his sheer presence, like the words he's fearless. Like he's not scared of anybody, legitimately not scared of anyone, and everyone is scared of him. And just an incredible role.
Yeah, wildly intimidating. Like stands taller than the screen. Hackman rocks, man. Big bummer. Something else this week, entirely different angle to slide us into some more regular news. Jason Statham is back for The Beekeeper 2. God, it's a terrible transition. We saw The Beekeeper here on this podcast. It is something else, man. From Suicide Squad director David Ayer. Seems like a schlocky action film, but then you realize it's kind of doing the schlock on purpose. and it's kind of doing a bit the whole time, and you're either in on the joke or you're not. Beekeeper 2, admittedly, will probably echo that same sentiment, but it's interesting because it didn't seem like the first one did all that good, right? Like, who's turning out for part 2 of the Beekeeper?
I mean, I think it made $150 million off, I think, about a $40 million budget. So it's that sweet spot of the mid budget Hollywood feature that goes, takes off and he kind of is the same person in all these movies. He's like a working class guy who's like ex-military and can beat everyone up, and he beats up the bad guys. He stops the corruption. He doesn't really get the girl. He just beats everyone up. There's not really romantic subplots in these. But it works. Like the Statham formula works. It has worked so many times. He has a new film coming out soon called A Working Man, which is a similar. He's like a construction guy, and someone kidnaps his friend, and he's going to go beat everyone up. So he's going to be doing even more beekeeping in this in the follow up. I'm sure it'll be a hit.
I hope in the Beekeeper 2, Jason Statham's Beekeeper character has to travel to some sort of like centralized hive location that is like bee themed and has like hexagons on the walls and like golden LED lights and stuff, and he has to like have a big shootout, and there's like globs of honey jars like exploding with bullets. Like I'm trying to think how you up the ante, and the only thing I can think is like you got to just double down on the bee theme, right? Like you really got to lean all the way in. I don't know. The first one is weird and kind of fun. Like it's better than I thought it would be, I think, but not anything outstanding. I mean,
he ends up at the White House in the first one, so
yeah,
you're gonna have to make it international, even bigger.
That's right. He's got to protect the hive by defeating the hive. He's going to attack the
globally.
Queen, take down the swarm.
It's going to be multi-city.
Our next story this week. No transition. I didn't have it. No segue. Francis Ford Coppola gives a scathing response to winning Worst Director for Megalopolis. Yes, this was a great story last week. Turns out Megalopolis caught a couple Razzie noms, and our man Francis Ford Coppola was all too happy to give his opinion. What is the story about, Andy?
I mean, the thing with the Razzie Awards, you got to take them on the chin with a good spirit. Halle Berry famously showed up to her when she won the Razzie for, I think it's Worst Actress for Catwoman from the mid 2000s, and she laughed it off. It was a big joke, but Francis Ford Coppola is legitimately angry. He says, "I'm thrilled to accept the Razzie Award in so many categories for Megalopolis and for the distinctive honor of being nominated as the worst director, worst screenplay, and worst picture at a time when so few have the courage to go against the prevailing trends of contemporary filmmaking." He's like, "You're not wrong. You just didn't get my film," is kind of what he's saying. It's that sort of thing. He was really offended about this, which is really funny. And Megalopolis is, it is pretty bad. Like we did watch it. There are some interesting things about it, and it is bold filmmaking, but it's also it's a swing and a miss.
I love this line. He kept going in his Instagram statement. He said, "What an honor to stand alongside a great and courageous filmmaker like Jacques Tati, who impoverished himself completely to make one of cinema's most beloved failures, Playtime." Like, are you flexing that you made a bad movie? What are we doing here? Cinema's one of cinema's most beloved failures. Like, that's not a W, dude. But I love the attitude. Honestly, like it's great. I think it is foolish to come out against the Razzies. I think you should do the Halle Berry thing. Like, show up and get your award, dude. Or you earned your flowers. Like, you get a lot more good press out of being funny about the Razzies. And he kind of tried to do that. His angle was like, "I'm thrilled to accept the Razzie Award," but it's also like 3 paragraphs, and he has a couple sections that are all caps. And it's really obvious that he was pretty spun up about this. Pretty wound up about six Razzie noms. I don't know, man. I like Megalopolis fine. It made my top 10 last year. Admittedly, it was the 10 spot, but like, hey, I got it on there. I thought it was something special. Not for everybody for sure, but certainly I don't think the worst film of the year. We saw some junk last year. It wasn't that bad, but if I was a Razzie voter, I think I would have voted differently.
Yeah, we'll get into the Razzie a little bit later because there are some other non-notable films to talk about in that. That's always a fun award thing. That comes alongside the Oscars as well.
Yeah, we'll hit that right at the end of our Oscars talk here after our Neja 2 review. One more story this week. From the box office, a slow weekend. Slowest weekend in years, I'm hearing. What's going on? Why is nobody going to the movies?
So it seems to be just a dearth of product. There's nothing new coming out. Captain America 4 has been in theaters for a couple of weeks already, and there was only one new movie. Now I've lost the name. Last Breath, which is a
Last
deep
Breath.
sea deep sea survival film starring Woody Harrelson and Simu Liu. Trailer looked interesting. One of those claustrophobic kind of things because they're like underwater in these stations, and they're like, "Oh no, you got to go out in your suit and crawl over the ocean floor and hope nothing bad happens," when you know that's exactly what's going to happen. So that came in second as a newer, but not much else. The Monkey came in third with another 6.4 million. That's done really good business. It's up at 25 million, and then Paddington in Peru. Notable though, even though it was a slow weekend, we had an increase in some of the Oscars picks. Anora was up 137%, and A24's The Brutalist saw an uptick of 25%. So the Oscars are giving some of these smaller movies a boost, which is exactly the point of the awards, is to kind of spotlight movies that people may not have normally gone out to see.
Man, I nearly bought the Brutalist 4K while the Oscars were happening. After it won a couple awards, I was like on Amazon, like, yeah, okay, it didn't come out till the 25th, but I could pre-order it now and it'll get here. I'm gonna wait. It's fine. I'm gonna wait. It's good. I can do it. I can wait. It's gonna be okay. But yeah, no surprise. Like, I think people are anxious to check out what's winning. As for Last Breath, just a quick thought on this. That movie is a small budget movie, right? Woody Harrelson, Simu, yeah, they're at the bottom of the ocean. It's got a 90% audience score on Rotten, so it's probably a fine movie. But dude, I like in a time when Hollywood seems to only greenlight stuff that seems like it's going to be a sure thing, seems like it's going to be a hit. Who is greenlighting the underwater claustrophobia movies? Am I the only one who doesn't want to go see those? I'm like, I don't think it's a phobia per se, but like, come on, like the no breath, can't get out, you're not going to make it movies. Like those are tough, man. Those are tough sells. Like I don't know. Anyway, we should move on to our first review of the episode. Any other thoughts on this one, Andy, for recommendations? Wait, what am I saying? For recommendations. Any other thoughts on this story before we jump into Naja? Oh my god.
No, it's just, that's part of the business. You're gonna have slow weekends where there's not much coming out, or people are on vacation, or it's a big holiday and people are traveling, and so there's just nothing new, and everyone's trying to catch up on all the Oscar films.
Yeah, well, can't blame them, myself included. There's definitely a couple Oscar films I haven't seen. We've mostly seen all of them, and you can roll back on our old reviews. But for now, we should move into what's next. And before we get into it, I guess before we talk about the proper film, Andy, do you want to wait? Hold on, we're not talking about the movie. We're talking about the Oscars. First.
We're going to Oscars. Man's in shambles.
What am I talking about? It's the Oscars, baby. Oscars 2025.